Hi guys, John Florez again with another really good one. I just finished reading a fabulous new book. I know you've heard this before, but it's getting even better. The book is titled Al Schmitt on the Record, and it's the Bible for recording engineers. Al goes into incredible detail about microphones, compressors, how to lay out several different studio rooms. There are diagrams, in fact, on a whole bunch of the rooms, pictures of the microphones, which microphones are best for which kind of artists, which microphones are best for each instrument and for vocalists, etc. This whole thing is a Bible. I learned 3 important things from this book. Thank you, Al. One is don't use compression. My goodness, when I started remastering my productions 5 or 6 years ago, that's the first tool that I discovered was compression. And boy, did I love it, and I overused it all these years. Oh my, I had no idea. Now I do. The second one is that you can piggyback echo. So you can piggyback, say, a short delay echo like a plate or a small room, and then add a concert hall or a long echo. And the chamber that he recommended is called a Bricasti, B-R-I-C-A-S-T-I, Seventh Heaven. And you can purchase that as a plug-in for any platform that you work on. And I'm telling you right now, for instance, on lead vocals, the setting that I found, the preset that I found, it takes Linda Seals, my singer for 12 years, and takes her up a whole other level just based on this particular Bricasti echo chamber. Highly recommended. And then the third thing I learned, which should have been a no-brainer, and I am so dumb, flat speakers. Okay, I have a story to tell you about flat speakers. Back when I started at RCA, we had annexed a new studio and control room that was over at the ABC television studios on Vine. And our boss, Joe Reisman, asked us each to bring one of our productions, the tapes, and each one of us would play our product, and then he said, pick which speakers you just heard that make your product sound best. Well, Ray Cork, my friend and arranger, who's so brilliant, whispered to me, he said, well, that makes no sense whatsoever, John. We don't want to hear what our product sounds best on. We kind of want to hear what it sounds worst on so we can make it sound better on all systems. Well, Ray was right, and it's the same thing Al Schmitt is saying. So he says, get flat speakers. So for the first time in 20 years, I swapped out my speaker system. Now you would think, yeah, that's a no-brainer. No, it hasn't been, but here's how that all started. Back 20 years ago, I was a gamer, so I was playing games, and I bought me a Logitech, very expensive system for the time, with massive subwoofer, and I love that system. So what I got were called Kali, K-A-L-I speakers, and they come in different sizes. I got the 6.5-inch version, and they sound ugly. No, they don't. They're flat. So I am now, for the first time ever, able to mix my old productions properly, and the difference is astounding. So if you take the flat speakers that allow you to hear exactly what you're doing, and then use no compression, and then add that beautiful Bricasti echo, Bricasti Seventh Heaven echo, wow. So what I'm going to do, this is just a heads up, what I'm going to do over the next several weeks is remaster all 130 tracks that I had previously mastered several times over the past few years, and I'm going to post them to YouTube one at a time. But what's going to be fun about this is going to be in chronological order, and it's going to be only my favorite cuts to begin with. So the first initial list of 20 or so cuts will be starting with the Friends of Distinction's Grazing in the Grass and going all the way through 1986 with Bobby Brooks' Born on the Bayou, but just my very favorite cuts. And then all the other artists and all the other cuts will follow the best of. Why did I decide to do it this way? Well, I recently read another book about the history of Warner Brothers Records, and the company philosophy there, when Mo Austin and Joe Schmitt took over with Lenny Waronker's masterful supervision, Mo Austin told Lenny to make sure that he and the producers that Lenny would hire would honor the artist first. He basically said, we don't need hit singles. We need artists, and artists who have longevity, and we will be willing to stick with them for years before they have success. If they are truly gifted artists, this will be their home. Well, my word. The world that I came from was RCA, which is basically RCA, Columbia, and Capitol at the time. And what we were doing, we were told to just make a hit single. And if the single didn't succeed, either the album wouldn't come out or the album wouldn't be promoted. The album was totally secondary. In case you had a big single, maybe the album would sell. Warner Brothers flip-flopped that whole formula perfectly and knew that if you had album-selling artists that would sell albums for years, you were going to make a fortune. So what I did, or the way I was trained, was to go in and try to make cute, catchy singles. But I need to backtrack for a second. When I found the Friends of Distinction, Harry Elston had co-written with Hugh Masekela. He wrote the lyrics to Grazing in the Grass, Hugh Masekela's big instrumental hit. That was kind of its own work of art and very well done, with Ray Cork making it a total piece of art. So though it wasn't in the rock vein of the Warner Brothers roster, it was still, in my opinion, art. And there were 3 or 4 cuts on the Grazing album that are the same way. We made something artistic and special. Okay, then when I went in to do Willie Hutch's album, we also did a couple of things that were very special, but they were R&B. They were totally different than the pop, jazz, R&B crossover Friends of Distinction. When Five Flights Up came to me in 1970 in my office at RCA as I was getting ready to leave the label, the fact is that Five Flights Up has cute, catchy songs that James Bingham, J.B. Bingham, wrote. And then I also had a handful of others that were in a similar vein that matched the group perfectly. So with Five Flights Up, I didn't go in to make art. I went in to capture essentially what they did. And what they did was these terrific songs with terrific harmonies that I still love to this very day. I just love this group. But that was the beginning, right back then in 1970, where when I was producing cute, catchy stuff for Five Flights Up, that I primarily leaned that way the rest of my career. I got away from what drew me to the Friends of Distinction, which was how different their jazz soul blend was, with no doubling of vocals, just beautiful one-take performance stuff that I adore again to this day. But I got in this habit of trying to make cute and catchy things, and the only couple of departures from that were the cuts for Renee Armand, the very, very gifted and lovely and generous and kind and loving artist that I am still in touch with to this very day. And we did a couple of singles that were big orchestral ballads, one of them the theme song from a major motion picture with Natalie Wood. But those were extremely out of the box and not aimed at being cute, catchy, commercial. And my Michael Jarrett album was also an attempt to be artistic, but I didn't do a very good part in terms of my production of Michael. So to make a long story longer, I have me new speakers, a new reverb chamber plug-in that I absolutely adore, and I'm using no compression. So these new mixes, to me, sound wonderful. So you can be the judge as I release them one at a time in order of my top, 20 favorites, something like that, and then I'll get to all my other artists and post them as I do them. Okay? There's a little postscript at the end of this that I really need to share with you. I was so touched by what Al Schmitt wrote, and not just moved at what a masterpiece and Bible this is for recording engineers, but I was touched because I met Al. I met Al the first day of work at age 22 at RCA's Music Center of the World when Joe Reisman, my boss, took me around to meet the other RCA people. And Al Schmitt was one of the first people I met. So here I am finishing his book saying, oh my God, thank you so much. And here's what I've learned from you. And I know I haven't been in touch in 50 years, but I'm telling you, Al, this is a masterpiece and you've helped me a lot. So I went to go to his website and fill out his contact form, and I learned that he passed away this April 26th, 2021. Oh my. So I have said in prayer, thank you, Al. I hope he hears that. I don't know. And also I have found a way through a friend of a friend to get in touch with Richie Smith, also a gifted engineer and still working, and write a few paragraphs that Richie will get that I would have sent to Al had he still been alive, telling him how much his work means to the industry and to people wanting to come into the industry, and especially me. He has basically changed my hobby of remastering my old cuts into something that is much more of an art form. He taught me a lot, and I need to tell his brother how meaningful his brother's book was to me, and I think to the world. I appreciate it a lot. So now to wrap it up, I'll give you a quick example of the original cut. I'll just pick an original cut to play you as it was recorded and mastered in 1974. Just a few bars of that, and then a few bars of the overly compressed, overly hypey version that I've had on my site forever, and then the latest version, which is done flat with new echo, mixed at low volume, and brand new speakers, and oh my goodness, what a difference. And I sincerely hope you'll enjoy hearing the difference, okay? So as always, you guys take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.